Okay, so get ready for a deep dive into something really interesting about the LA28 Olympics, because this time it's about way more than just the games.
That's right. You might be thinking, another Olympics, so what? But what if I told you this time is different? This time, it's about the, well, you could say unprecedented influence of Black Californians shaping these games and potentially creating some like lasting change in LA.
Exactly, and it all starts with Mayor Karen Bass. She's not just the first Black woman to hold the office. She's become the face of LA28.
And that's huge considering the historical context. I mean, think about it. Los Angeles has a complex, social and political history. To see a Black woman leading the charge for the Olympics, especially in a city like LA, is truly remarkable.
Absolutely. Think about this. She received the Olympic flag in Paris, a historic moment in itself.
Yeah.
And she's been crystal clear about her vision for these games to benefit all Angelinos.
And that's a vision with real weight behind it. Mayor Bass isn't just offering symbolic leadership. She's talking about using the games as a springboard for social and economic progress, particularly in underserved communities. This isn't about glitz and glamour. It's about tangible change.
And it's not just her, right? This commitment is reflected across the board. Take Inglewood Mayor Butts, whose city is hosting major events like the opening and closing ceremonies, basketball, and swimming.
And speaking of Inglewood, Mayor Butts isn't just hosting. He's been instrumental in ensuring that, local businesses benefit from the games. This kind of advocacy, especially for communities that are often overlooked in these mega events, is crucial.
It really is. And then there's Long Beach Mayor Richardson, also playing a vital role in LA28. And let's not forget LA City Council President Harris Dawson, a major champion for the Play LA Parks program.
That program, which, by the way, is funded in part by LA28, focuses on providing sports access to young people across the city. It speaks directly to the potential for these games to create lasting change, not just like temporary excitement.
It's incredible to see this tapestry of Black leadership coming together around such a monumental event. And what's even more striking is how their influence reaches far beyond just the political sphere. We're talking business, sports, entertainment, even labor unions.
Precisely. This isn't about token representation. It's about a diverse group of individuals who bring a wealth of experience and perspectives to the table.
You've got people like Melody Hobson, this powerhouse businesswoman on the LA28 board, right alongside Lex Gillette, an incredible Paralympian.
And each of those figures, from Melody Hobson to Lex Gillette, brings their own unique perspective to the table. Dana Smith, the former Netflix executive, for instance, brings her expertise in media and storytelling to help LA28 engage with a global audience.
It's like LA is using this moment to showcase the depth and diversity within its Black community, not just in sports, but across all sectors.
Yeah.
And this ties directly into LA28's big promise, games for all. But as we know, there are always challenges when it comes to living up to such ambitious goals.
Right. And that's where things get really interesting. Because while Games for All is a powerful and aspirational message, there's also a healthy dose of skepticism about whether those words will translate into tangible action. Rosalind Brandt Clark, who you might remember as an Olympic medalist herself, put it best when she said she's waiting to see concrete change before giving it her stamp of approval.
It's a good point. I mean, we see these big promises with these huge events all the time. But how often do they truly benefit everyone? What do you make of that perspective?
I think it's incredibly valuable. Rosalind Brandt Clark isn't saying the games are inherently bad or that LA28 can't achieve its goals. She's simply saying, show me, don't just tell me. And frankly, that's a fair request, especially considering the historical context. The Olympics have not always had the best track record when it comes to inclusivity and equitable development.
That's for sure. And it's not just about the athletes either.
Yeah.
What about the long-term impact on the city itself, on its residents, and especially on those communities that have historically been underserved?
Precisely. And that's where voices like Rosalind's become so essential. We need to hear from those who've seen these promises made before, who understand the systemic challenges at play. Their insights challenge us to look beyond the surface and ask tough questions about who truly benefits from an event like the Olympics.
You know, it reminds me of that saying, trust but verify.
Yeah.
We can be excited about the potential of LA28, but we also need to hold the organizers accountable to their commitments.
Yeah.
What do you think are the biggest challenges in making Games for All a reality and not just a slogan?
Yeah, it's like hope for the best, but prepare for the worst, right? Like, we can be excited about all this potential and the positive impacts, but we also need to, keep our eyes open and make sure those benefits are felt by everybody and not just a select few.
Exactly. And that requires, ongoing scrutiny, community engagement, and a commitment to addressing issues like affordable housing, and equitable development, even after the spotlight phase, after the Olympics are over.
Because ultimately it's about the legacy, right?
Yeah.
What will LA28 mean for the city 5, 10, 20 years down the line? Precisely.
Yeah.
And that legacy will be shaped not just by the spectacle of the games themselves, but by the tangible changes that they bring about. Did LA28 truly create opportunities? Did it foster equity? Did it make progress towards a more inclusive city? Those are the questions that we should all be asking long after the medals have been handed out and everybody's gone home.
It's about so much more than just sports, isn't it? It's about using this global platform to have important conversations and hopefully inspire some real change. But speaking of sports, we can't forget about the incredible black athletes who'll be representing LA on the world stage.
Absolutely. And it's not just about, those competing in 2028, but also those who've paved the way. Think about someone like Cheryl Miller, a legend from USC basketball, won gold at the '84 Olympics right here in LA. Her story is so intertwined with the city's Olympic history, and her voice carries so much weight.
And she's all in on LA28, calling it nothing but spectacular.
Yeah.
It's like she's passing the torch to a new generation of athletes.
And what's fascinating is that this new generation is stepping into an environment where Black leadership is more visible and more influential than ever. They have role models, not just on the field, but in the boardroom, in City Hall, across all these different sectors.
Yeah, it's about representation, right?
Yeah.
Seeing yourself reflected in positions of power and realizing that your dreams have no limits.
Exactly. And that's a powerful message to send, not just to young Black athletes, but to young people everywhere. It's about showing them that anything is possible if they set their minds to it, and that they have a seat at the table in shaping the future.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with a sense of, cautious optimism, a hope that LA28 can really be a force for good, but also a reminder to, stay engaged,
Mm.
ask tough questions, and hold those in power accountable.
I think that's the key takeaway for all of us. LA28 has the potential to be a turning point, a model for how these mega events can be used to create a more just and equitable society. But it's up to all of us to make sure that that potential becomes reality. The true legacy of LA28 won't be measured in medals, but in the lasting impact it has on communities all across Los Angeles. And that, my friend, is a story that's just beginning to be written.